Before I get started with the story, let me give a shout out to Craig J for sending it to me, and it is coming from insider.com. It was posted on September 20th, 2021. At the time of this recording, it is September 21st, 2021, where you have this school named called Mabel Rush Elementary in Oregon, where you have this teacher. They haven't identified who the teacher is, and maybe by the time this video gets uploaded, they'll have a name. Who decided that in the way they wanted to get their point across when it came to their issues with the scene, that they were going to come up with this elaborate scheme of wearing blackface to get their point across. And I'm sitting here saying to myself, what does one have to do with the other? I mean, all you did was just put on display your racism. Like, that was the best or the latest that you could come up with, was just to show up in blackface to protest the mandate of taking the scene. It's some goddamn weird, ignorant weirdos out here. And I don't know what the demographics is for the school, but based on some of the pictures that I'm looking at from, like events or whatever the case may be that students had or the teachers had for the students, it's not a huge black population, and they're in Oregon. So, it's not a huge black population in that entire state. So that pretty much lets me know all I needed to know. So who exactly were they doing this for? I guess for their own ignorance and racism, of course. So let me go ahead and read this article. An elementary school teacher in Newberg, Oregon, showed up to school in blackface last week and claimed to be portraying Rosa Parks to protest a COVID-19 scene mandate. It just gets worse. It just goes all downhill from here. The state of Oregon imposed a scene mandate in August for K-12 teachers, saying they must be fully vaccinated by October 18th. According to the Newberg Graphic, the teacher worked at Mabel Rush Elementary School, a part of the Newberg School District. The Newberg School District released a statement on Monday saying the district takes all incidents of racism seriously. The district said the teacher has been placed on administrative leave, though it's unclear from the district's statement if the teacher is being paid while on leave. See, this is the shit right here. This is exactly why black people, I don't know why so many try to rally behind the Asian community getting a hate crime bill when we really need it the most. I did a whole video talking about how they said hate crimes rose in the last year for black people, even exceeding those of who are Asian, but they're the ones who got a hate crime bill on the books, and we didn't get shit. See, if we actually had a hate crime on the books, they would think twice about doing shit like this, but because we don't, that's what leaves us even more unprotected and even more vulnerable and open to these kinds of attacks, whether it's something like this or physical. Last Friday, one of our employees reported for work in blackface. The employee was removed from the location, and HR has placed the employee on administrative leave. The administration of Newberg Public Schools condemns all expressions of racism. Apparently, you don't condemn it enough, because if you did, putting them on administrative leave would be not, it wouldn't even be on the list of things to do as a form of a consequence. Firing would be it. Charges of a hate crime would also be part of it as well. But then again, like I said, because black people don't have a hate crime on the books like other communities do, most recently the Asian community, what can you really do? And this is exactly why a lot of black people will implement, if they have to, and if they should, or if they feel they have to, their own form of justice. But then that's the trick bag to do that, and then they can claim assault charges. The employee was removed from the location. Oh, I already read that part. The blackface incident is a part of a pattern of racist incident in the school district. But then again, if you knew the history of Oregon, if y'all didn't know, Oregon didn't allow black people to even live in that entire state up until sometime in the 1900s. It was one of the last states in America that was completely integrated. While all the other states eventually got integrated, Oregon was one of the last ones. Like, they didn't allow black people to live in the state until like if I had to guess, somewhere around the 1940s, somewhere in that region. So yeah. And it's crazy because it's still people who are alive who were born in the 40s and before. So imagine that. Just last week, a group of parents alerted the school district about a group chat that several students were in called Slave Trade, where students would jokingly bid money on their black classmates, call for their deaths, and ask for a quote-unquote another Holocaust. The news of the slave trade game occurred hours before the Newburgh School Board went over a new ban on controversial political symbols in its schools, including Black Lives Matter and Academy Pride flags. Now, how about that? They said they had a whole chat where they had something called slave trade, where the students were bidding money on their black classmates as if it was an auction. Now, hear me out when I say this. These are elementary school students, meaning they were born within the last 5 years. So it was 2021. So they were born between, 26, like 2016, 2015, somewhere in that region, or a little bit further back, maybe 2011. I'll go back as far as 2011. That way, 10, because if you're 10 years old, you're most likely in the 5th grade. And they said 10 years old. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I have my math correct. And they're doing slave bidding at this age. Slave bidding. Now, they said this was a school district, so this could have been high school students as well. But still, it's okay. We can take it back. High school. That means they were born in the 2000s. They are learning this from their parents. They are learning this from their parents. Because if they're 18, that means that they were born like in 2004, somewhere around that range. 2004, somewhere around there if they're 18. So between 2004 and 2011 is the range of high school down to elementary school age range as of leading up until now. And they're having slave trades in chats where they're bidding on black students. Now, I don't know if these black students are participating. I hope they're not. I want to play devil's advocate and say that let me not play devil's advocate. Let me say that they're not doing it. What they could be doing is they could be going on to their black classmates page and looking up pictures of their black classmates and putting them on these chats and then bidding for them, kind of like how they did in the movie Get Out, or how they do with slave auctions, just not with the person physically present. So as you can see, racism in Dub S is a generational thing, and it continues to boil over and carry over into the next generation. These are school students. These are not adults that are doing this. Not saying that there aren't adults out there that aren't doing this, but these are, in the context of the story, these are students that are doing this at a young age. They are not in their 20s. They're not in their 30s. They're not in their 40s. They are in their teens to preteen ages that are doing this. Hell, maybe even lower. And then you had an actual teacher show up to work wearing blackface and saying they were pretending to be Rosa Parks, all to protest the damn scene. I don't see how those two even compare. They don't. Like what? That person wasn't there to protest the damn scene. They were there to show their natural ass. They should have got their natural ass whooped at the end of the day for being that damn dumb and ignorant. But they did it in a position of them being comfortable because there probably wasn't no one there to actually really check them, if you know what I mean. Because they'll only do this when they're around certain people. Let them have gone into a black neighborhood with that shit and see how far they would have made it. Well, with the state of some black people, they probably would have got pretty damn far, unfortunately. But not every black person, thank God, is the same. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments.